explain the rebounding drill y'all been doing in practice the last few weeks and what makes that effective.
So the rebounding drill is 3-on-3 rebounding. It consists of about 4 different teams that we do. We get the pennies and the extra Nike jerseys we have. It's basically helping the guys understand gang rebounding, what we like to call, when especially like late in games when, in our league, shot goes up, you could have 6 guys, maybe 8 guys in the lane, all trying to rebound. And that was something that we struggled with in a few of our losses, is we just didn't rebound the right way. And with us, playing kind of a 4-guard lineup, the key to everything is going to be us rebounding. That's going to be the key to our season. And we truly believe that, and we preach it all the time with the guys. So it was big to kind of, we needed to throw in a drill that was going to basically accumulate toughness with us and make sure that we understood every day we start practice with that rebounding drill to make sure the guys understand, like, that's what we have to do. In order for us to win games at a high level, we have to do it.
Rob, was that part of the conversation going into the season, both with the staff and the players? Like, hey, if we're going to play 4 guards, like, y'all are going to have to rebound too.
The biggest thing, I would say that was probably the number one thing. I think number one was rebounding. Number two was playing fast, because there's no point of playing 4 guards if you're not going to play fast. So the biggest thing was rebounding. It was kind of a thing where you're gonna drop off. Like with offensive rebounding last year, I think we were like number 3 in the country. We're not gonna be the number 3 offensive rebound team in the country with that lineup. It's just not, and that's okay. But it's a matter of defensively and offensively, how much do you drop off? I think that we've dropped off in offensive rebounding, but not that much. It's not been crazy. And then with defensive rebounding, it's still a situation where the guy that we have at the 4 was still our leading rebounder the last 3 years. So it's not like we're going to be a team that has an inability to rebound. We just have to do it at a high level with smaller bodies.
How good was it to see Santi and Joe do what they did the other day and really set the tone early?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. It's always good to see them get in rhythm and giving us that extra scoring punch, because those are guys that we know are capable. Everybody likes to have opinions on what they think they should and shouldn't be doing. But for us, man, they're our leaders. They're our catalysts. I call them heart and soul all the time. That's what they are for us. And I feel like they've been doing a great job. And anytime you can go out and you can see those guys make shots for us, it's just an added boost of confidence for everybody in the locker room, I think.
Coach, college basketball, obviously, wild momentum swings all the time. But how do you explain it? How were you guys able to flip the switch from going to Texas A&M to playing like you did against Arkansas and Vandy, winning 2 games by 60-plus points?
I think for us, sometimes the response is more important than anything. In playing in a league like this, you're going to get knocked down, and you just got to understand how to get back up. And it was a big thing for us to kind of make a statement this past week. We had a blip where we didn't play great against A&M, and, it was tough. All of us kind of had to look in the mirror. I would say staff and players, and we just kind of had to be real with each other and understand that, we're going to get everybody's best punch. We got to be tough. We got to be resilient. And for us to go out there next week, after working on the rebounding, after working on being better in our gaps, I felt like our response was great. I felt like we dominated in both of those victories. And it was really good to see us kind of take offense to people not feeling like we are as good as we say we are. So I felt like we gave a great punch and we were good.
Do you think these guys think about those Missouri games last year? That's 2 different teams, past the past?
Yeah, no, we talked about it first thing before we started. Regardless of the record, I basically said, South Carolina, if you think they came in here and didn't remember we beat them about 42 times, you're crazy, because they played like it. You could tell. So for us, regardless of the record, it doesn't matter. That's a program that beat up on us 2 games last year. So we're not looking at this as a game that we're going to just skate by. Like, no, that's not what it is for us. We got to go down there. We want to take care of business. We want to play really well. We want to play really hard. We definitely want to lock into, Sean East and Tamar Bates, who's playing at a really high level right now. Noah Carter, like those guys are – Noah Carter, Nick Honor, and Sean East are guys that were big parts of last year's team that, like I said, they gave us a good whooping 2 times. One of them was a buzzer beater here, so we remember for sure.
You talked about playing faster. How has Josiah at the 4 contributed to that the average person doesn't see?
So with Josiah, is what most people don't understand, I don't think. When you have, most teams play 3 guards, right? One of them is a wing, and then you have 2 kind of ball handling guards. So instead of us having 2 ball handling guards, we now have 4 ball handling guards. So you have a guy that's guarding a big majority of the game that's getting the ball off the board and is able to push it. He's not getting the ball and looking for a point guard or looking for one of those ball handling guards to get a ball to, which slows up your break. He's getting it off the backboard and he's pushing it himself and advanced passing up the floor, which makes us play faster, which is why we're one of the fastest teams in the country now because of it. And you get a game like last week where I think we scored, 27 points in transition, something like that. And our points off turnovers at halftime was like 25-0. So when you have a guy at that position that can handle the ball and make decisions, it automatically makes your team faster, and it makes your point guard like Zakai Ziegler, he's able to get up ahead of the floor and get passes and kick aheads and go finish off plays for assists, whereas normally he'd have to come back and get the ball up to the floor himself. So it's a huge advantage for us, and I think it's definitely be a key to success for our offense for us.
Obviously, Vanderbilt showed you guys really favorable things on defense, allowed you guys to be efficient on offense, 5 guys in double digits. Was there something that you guys did differently that you looked to duplicate against Missouri to have that level of efficiency again?
Yeah, I thought the first time we played Vanderbilt in the first half, they tried to slow us down a little bit, and we slowed ourselves down. And then in the second half, we adjusted and played really fast. So last game was about kind of dictating tempo, playing fast right away, being confident, taking early shots. With Missouri, they're not a team that plays as slow as Vandy, but still making sure that our tempo is at a high level. Defensively, making sure that we do a really good job of plugging up those gaps and playing out of them, playing with a lot better hands. Emphasis with deflections, and in the first half we did a pretty good job of deflections. Second half not as much, but Vandy's not a huge assist-to-made field goal team, so that kind of goes to some of that. With Missouri, they're also similar in the style of where they play in a lot of ISOs. They obviously have 2 guards that are very dominant, like a Vandy. So one-on-one defense is going to be huge. Off-ball defense, being in the gaps, that's going to be big. Playing with hands, that's always going to be a thing as well. So just kind of translating last games, I would say, ability to stick to the game plan, aggression, and swagger, trying to move that on to the next game.
Felt like Santi had a little bit quicker of a trigger shooting the ball against Vanderbilt. Was that a point of emphasis from y'all to him, or just kind of how the game unfolded?
Man, it's a point of emphasis all the time. I wish the trigger was a little quicker, honestly. I thought it was great. I thought he was confident. He didn't think about it. And, when you have Santi shooting the ball like that, it opens up so much more for everybody else. And then you have a lineup that's extremely lethal. So seeing the disparity throughout the guys and us moving the ball and all these guys sharing it and scoring, we love to have every night like that. Is it possible? I mean, it's kind of tough. But to even have games like that and be capable of it, it was good to see it all come together like that.
It looked like Freddie made the right play a lot in the minutes he got. Was that the kind of highest clip that he's done that at so far this year?
Yeah, I would say it's probably the most efficient. I know it was the most minutes he's played at one time or in one game in a while. He did great. The young guys are getting better. They're growing up. They're starting to think the game a lot more. They're learning it. The speed is finally starting to slow down a little bit for them. And I'm happy with their progression. I know Coach is really happy with the progression. I know he was really complimentary with you guys the other night. But they're learning, man. It's hard being a freshman in this era and seeing all of your friends and other guys and they're playing. And this is no disrespect to programs, but you look at the best teams in the country, there's not a lot of freshmen that get a lot of playing time. You look at some of the teams that are struggling, usually they're playing a lot of young guys. So it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to kind of deal with for them, sacrificing for, the big picture. But I think that they've done it in stride. They've done a really good job with it this year.
Coach, not just for the young guys, but for everybody on the team, what kind of a message does it send, I guess, on Saturday? I think you guys were up 35-12. Coach calls a timeout. And you get some guys for not getting the ball. I think you said not getting the ball inside the Jonas. Is what caused it. What does that say about him, about the attention to detail?
Man, I say it all the time. He's one of the most consistent people we'll ever meet because we could be up 90, and if we're not getting the ball where it needs to be, he's going to be hot about it. You know what I mean? I think Coach understands, it's not about that one game. It's kind of about the big picture and the grand scheme for us. Like, if Jonas is not touching the ball, and you guys have seen, if Jonas is not getting the ball and not being productive, it hurts us. We haven't won a ton of games where he hasn't been good. So that's something that always has to be a point of emphasis for us, and our guys have to be mature enough to realize that when we do get in a rut, we have to get him a touch, and that's going to have to be something that our little dynamic point guard Bob Cousy Award winner is going to have to start doing a better job of through the course of the game.
Anything else?
How have you seen that gap close between the freshmen and the guys who get the most minutes? Because Barnes says that gap is closing a little bit. How have you seen it close?
You know, practices are getting a lot more competitive. Those guys are starting to give the older guys a little run for their money. They're getting tougher. They're understanding our defensive schemes a lot better. They're getting a lot better at ball screen defense, understanding, you know, being between man and ball. So I think they're growing up, and they've had a full year of playing against guys that get a lot of minutes on the top 10 team, top 5 team in the country every day. So they have no choice but to get better, and I think it's been paying off for them, basically.
Thanks, Rod.
No problem.